Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Mr. Brennan Stefanik, and I'm bringing you those general programming reminders. Folks, every Monday we are here with the main episodes. Every Friday we are here with our miniseries In the Spotlight. And oh, would you look at that? Today is Friday. I, of course, am not here alone. I could never do this alone. Of course, I'm here with our Broadway musical theater historian, Mr. Daniel J. Solly. Danny, what is going on?
TGIF.
Motherfuckers. Oh, retweet.
How's everyone doing?
You really came out aggressive and guns a-blazing with that.
I know. I'm going to pull it back, though, so everyone can calm down.
Okay, great.
How was your St. Patrick's Day?
My St. Patrick's Day was fine. Nothing crazy.
Oh, I'll tell you what I did on my St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, Danny. What did you do?
I celebrated St. Patty's Day the way that God intended. And I went up to the I think it's called the J Sharp Theater up on the Upper West Side. And I saw St. Patti LuPone live in concert herself.
Amazing.
Thank you for asking so much.
I'm so happy I asked.
Readers, let me tell you, religious experience.
Yeah.
It was made up of couples aged 65 plus and up, as well as young gays who were there alone.
Of course.
And everybody was on the same page. And basically the conceit of the concert was that Patty had a million songs written on pieces of paper that she either loved or had like iconic songs that she's performed throughout her career. She had a huge top hat, and audience members would run up to the stage and pick a song out of a hat, and she had to sing whatever came out of the hat.
Wow.
And so, I mean, this is like a tour that she's going on. So I think the concert's different every night. It's like very much like someone would pick up a song. She'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I have to sing this." Like her music director is the accompanist. She's like, "All right, song 29." And then they just like go.
I can't believe I'm going to sing this song that I put in the hat.
Crazy. I know. And we got a lot of company. She literally, the second song of the night was Ladies Who Lunch. She picked up the martini glass that she had set on the thing. Everybody went fucking nuts because we knew it was coming.
I'm sure.
We got some Gypsy. Oh, it was just the bee's freaking knees, man.
I'm so
Couldn't
happy
recommend
for
it
you.
more. And then I came home and we watched friend of the pod, Cara Rose DePietro, had her solo show at 54 Below.
Indeed.
Shout out to Cara. It was incredible. I'm sure there's probably a way to watch it, right?
I don't know.
After
Well,
the
I was looking at the 54 Below website, and it was like the live stream can only be viewed during it. So, but I don't know if there was like a supplementary recording.
There's
or not.
Gotta be videos.
I mean, yeah, I feel like people took videos of every number probably. So
shout out to Cara. Wonderful show.
Really, really nice, beautiful show.
Very. I mean, it was dedicated to her mom, and so it was beautiful and poignant, and a lot of songs about grief and all that stuff. So that's my weekly roundup.
And then we partied.
And then we partied our little butts off.
Yeah, over at the Grizzly Pear.
Grizzly Pear, which
Indeed.
I always forget the name of.
Indeed. The Angry Pear.
I'm like, oh, we're going to the Prickly Pear?
The
You're
Prickly
like,
Pear.
no, we're not. We're literally not. So what are we talking about this episode?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. Today, we are talking about Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Oh my God, how could I forget to tell the audience? Oh, this is my shame.
I got him, folks.
Okay,
Here's one.
Here's one. We're going to talk about a musical, I promise, but here's one thing about me. If you ever want to get me to do something, just like give me FOMO about it.
You just have to have
done.
Every single other one of his friends do it.
We were sitting at, oh my God, okay.
Say it.
We're nerds here, right?
Yep.
We're sitting at D&D. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we play D&D. And
the very first session.
We're playing D&D, and every single one of our freaking friends is talking about this dragon smut book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, do I have to read it? And everyone's like, yes, we literally all read it and we talk about it. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm feeling left out. So yesterday I started Fourth Wing. I'm listening to the audiobook. I'm almost done. I'm going to finish it tonight. That's how absolutely engrossed I am.
Of course.
It's great. I can't wait. I'll probably be done with the series by the next time we record an episode. I'll let you guys know how I feel.
I can't wait. I'm so happy.
Did I not like burst through the door when I came home from work today?
Yeah.
Like a fucking, Yeah. Like, oh my God.
As you should. Now you know. Now you know.
I literally was, it's good. It's good, guys. I get it. Everyone's reading it. Everyone in the world is reading it. So now
Yeah.
I'm hopping on the bandwagon. The next
Absolutely.
thing I have to hop on, the next bandwagon, is the Severance bandwagon. I haven't watched Severance.
Everyone's telling me to watch that.
I'm the only
All
person.
of my coworkers really want me to watch that.
Every single coworker I have is like, why aren't you watching Severance? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have Apple TV.
Oh, it's Apple TV.
Yeah.
There we go.
So that's the next bandwagon, but
Aren't you getting a new laptop soon?
no. Are you buying me one?
I thought you said you needed one, so.
Oh, that's very different from me buying one.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying if you do, then we get 3 months of Apple TV Plus.
Well, I hope I'd rather pay for Apple TV for a month than a new laptop.
That's valid. I guess that's a good point.
So
That's a good
if
point.
any of our dedicated In the Spotlight listeners wants to buy me a new laptop, I will graciously accept.
Or a 1-month subscription to Apple TV.
I can pay for a 1-month subscription. I want a new laptop.
Okay.
I will graciously accept, and we will do one episode of your choice.
I'll take what I can get.
Okay. So, In the Spotlight, Friday. We got lots to talk about.
Let's talk about it.
Today, we were talking about Merrily We Roll Along.
Merrily We Roll Along.
You should have seen this coming.
Oh, I didn't, actually. A twist.
I know.
I told Danny 3 nights ago that I don't know the show.
And I said, we'll do an episode on it. And you said, great.
Here we are.
And he just didn't believe me.
Yeah.
I think as I am I don't want to use like a gay slur on myself, a musical theater Sondheim fag. So I liked this.
I'm gonna leave it in.
This could very easily just turn into like In the Spotlight Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah.
So I try and space out the Sondheims. In case you didn't realize, Merrily We Roll Along is a musical with music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim.
Indeed.
Book by George Firth. And it is based on the 1934 play of the same name by George Kaufman and Moss Hart.
Wow.
You don't know the show, do you?
No, I know vaguely.
Okay, so I'll do a little bit of a breakdown, and then it's got a crazy Broadway history.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest flops in Broadway history. Sorry if that spoiled some of the anticipation of what we're going to talk about. So, Merrily We Roll Along. The show follows 3 besties. We have Franklin Shepard, who is a composer, Charlie Kringus, who is a lyricist and playwright, and Mary Flynn, who is a journalist, writer, critic, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so the show follows them over the course of their interpersonal and professional lives from 1957 through 1976. Franklin and Charlie write musicals together, and Mary is their downstairs neighbor best friend. And over the course of their lives, Franklin becomes intoxicated with commercial success and making money and becoming famous. And so we watch him as he cheats on his wife, Beth, with a movie star named Gussie. He leaves Charlie and Mary behind as he embarks on this shiny Hollywood career of writing for like big action movies. And kind of the plot device about Merrily is that it starts at the end and the whole show goes back in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first scene of the musical takes place in 1976 when we see the characters that are kind of at the height of their success, but also the height of their misery.
Mm-hmm.
And with each scene, it takes us back several years until we land in the last scene in 1957 when we see them as young college grads who are just like bright-eyed, starting out their lives and starting out their careers.
Yeah.
And so we kind of see through every scene the disintegration of their relationships with each other, and it's kind of like the refrain of the show is like, how did we get to be here, what was the moment?
Mm-hmm.
And then like the next scene you find out how we got to be there.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really fascinating show. The idea for Merrily originated from a suggestion by Hal Prince's wife Judy, because she said that he should do a show about teenagers. And so he decided he wanted to do an adaptation of the play Merrily Roll Along. And he called his collaborator Sondheim, who immediately accepted. And then Sondheim got his old buddy George Firth. And they were riding high because they wrote company together.
Mm-hmm.
And so Merrily kind of came after like a string of huge hits for Sondheim.
Yeah.
It was like Sondheim and Hal Prince were like director, producer, composer, collaborator. And they were just like kind of this unstoppable duo in the Broadway sphere. And so for Merrily, Prince cast the original production entirely with teenagers and young adults who played their characters in both youth and middle age. And they kind of were designing this show to be a vehicle for the young performers, with Prince saying that he was charmed by the beginnings of the cast's artistry, the roughness of their craft, their inexperience. I was charmed as hell by that.
Interesting.
And I think that was tricky. It was tricky. The show's original production design laid it on thick with that concept. The set consisted of a group of movable bleachers lined with lockers and a screen on which productions were shown to set the mood in the period. The score is also really interesting. Sondheim wrote the score in a bit more of a traditional 1950s Broadway tone than his like kind of infamous like the complex, intricate Sondheim sound. But the score also embraces the backwards nature of the show. So you take a song like Not a Day Goes By, and the first time we hear it in the show, we're hearing the reprise when Frank is getting divorced from Beth. And then later, much later in the show, we hear the original version of the song when they're getting married, as opposed to like, normally you hear like the song, and then later in the song you hear like a reprise, which is like a riff on the original. And so because the show is moving backwards, so is the score. And so we're hearing like the reprise first, and then we're hearing the original. Or a song like Good Thing Going, it gets gradually deconstructed throughout the musical before reaching the final, but in the world of the show, the initial form near the end of the show as the Who Wants to Live in New York section of the song. Sondheim said he used this technique to show how the songs that had been important in the lives of the characters when they were younger would have different resonances as they aged. And he considers this score to be one of the hardest that he's ever written.
Interesting.
For him to write.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like this crazy deconstruction of like working backwards. Yeah, the show has like a lot of, I mean, it has incredible songs, a lot of like kind of standards that we probably have heard in some point. If you've ever taken like a class where people come in with songs, you've definitely like Not a Day Goes By, Good Thing Going, Old Friends. Yeah.
Nice.
And the iconic song in the second act, it's right at the end of the show. It's called Opening Doors, and it's considered to be the most autobiographical song Sondheim has ever written.
Wow.
Because it kind of takes, it's just like this big musical sequence of showing Franklin and Charlie writing a musical and pitching it to different producers. And I think like it's kind of an accurate representation of like artists at that time period when you had to like write a song and pitch it to a producer and the kind of things that they say to you about your music. And a big note that they get, which I think is a big note that Sondheim got in the beginning of his career, was it's not catchy. Like, you need a tune you can hum.
Gotcha.
And so people consider this song to be, I mean, Sondheim claims that he doesn't write autobiographical works, but people claim that this song is like the most memoirish song that he's ever written in a piece. And obviously, if you've ever had like a sentimental graduation or something, you've probably heard the song Our Time. So Merrily did not get an out-of-town tryout, which is kind of standard. And so in lieu of that, they had a 40-performance preview period. And it did not go well.
Woof.
When previews began, audiences were walking out mid-show. And so 10 days after beginning their performances, they fired the original Franklin Shepherd, James Weissenbach, and replaced him with Jim Walton. And they replaced the choreographer, Ron Field, and replaced him with Larry Fuller. And they were furiously like rewriting the show every single day because it was not going well.
Rough.
And Sondheim recalls that time period as that month of fervent hysterical activity was the most fun I've ever had on a single show.
Wow.
On opening night, they had thought they fixed it, but Sondheim, in, looking back, says we bettered it, not fixed it.
Understood.
The original Broadway production opened on November 16th of 1981 at the Alvin Theater to pretty much unanimously negative reviews, although people did love the score. The score was praised, but the production, the show, was not. So it ended up running for a total of 16 performances and 44 reviews. Biggest flop of Sondheim's career. The cast included Jim Walton as Franklin, Lonnie Price as Charlie Kringus, Ann Morrison as Mary, a young Jason Alexander as Joe, and the ensemble also featured a young Liz Calloway and Tanya Pinkins.
Wow.
The audience had so much trouble following the story that the actors all ended up wearing sweatshirts with their characters' names on them.
No.
The failure of Merrily kind of was the end of the glory days for Sondheim and Hal Prince in their collaboration. And so they did not work together again until they worked on Bounce in 2003.
Okay.
So it turned into like a 20-year hiatus for the two of them.
Yeah. That's rough.
Rough for
sure.
Throughout the years, there have been many, many off-Broadway and regional productions of Merrily, and it's kind of become that show that everyone is trying to fix.
Mhm.
Like everyone is, it's one of those shows where it's like there's a million rewrites. The original the original libretto of Merrily is like vastly different from the show that's done now, from what we know now,
Mhm.
because like it was such a flop. Everyone's trying to fix it. Everyone's trying to make rewrites. There were two big off-Broadway revivals. There was one in 1994 at the York Theatre and one in 2019 at the Laura Pels Theatre.
Mhm.
But the two major productions were, there was one at La Jolla Playhouse, directed by James Lapine in 1985, with John Rubinstein as Frank, Chip Zien as Charlie, and Maren Maisie as Beth. And then we have the Arena Stage production in 1990 with Victor Garber, David Garrison, Becky Ann Baker, and once again, Maren Maisie. And it was these two productions that kind of found Merrily's footing. And like the changes that they made to these productions are kind of what's become a little bit more standard in the show.
Gotcha.
And I believe it was in the La Jolla production where the song Not a Day Goes By, which is like, I would say one of Sondheim's most famous ballads sung by the character of Beth, was originally sung by Franklin. And then at La Jolla, I think they gave it to Maren Maisie to sing.
Understood.
And they were like, that's where the song should be.
Gotcha.
And so like that originated with that production and has become the show as we know it today. Encores staged a concert at New York City Center in 2012, directed by James Lapine, starring Colin Donnell as Frank, Celia Keenan Bolger as Mary, Lin-Manuel Miranda as Charlie, Elizabeth Stanley as Gussie, and Betsy Wolfe as Beth.
That's a wild cast.
A wild cast. This is a production that I have searched high and low. There are no bootlegs.
No.
There is a cast recording of this cast. That is the one that I know. That is the one that I like. I recommend that recording above all others.
Wow.
That is the one that I know every single note, inflection. I love that recording. I think it is such a good recording.
I love that.
I love the one that we have gotten later that we can talk about, but that 2012 is like my Merrily.
Interesting.
I love that one. I think all the performances are incredible.
Yeah.
It's like such a little gem. I love the arrangement. They have this huge big band horn section. It's just phenomenal. I think Merrily has, the best overture in musical theater.
Okay.
And I'm willing to say that here and now for all of you.
You heard it here
people.
first, folks.
Do you have a favorite overture in musical theater, or are you normal?
I don't think I have a favorite.
Okay, you're normal.
Yeah, no, not off the top of my head.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen to this Merrily one. I love the Merrily overture. And so then finally, we got the 2022 Off-Broadway revival, directed by Maria Friedman. This production, I don't know if I realized this, was based on a production that she directed at the Meniere Chocolate Factory in London.
Oh, okay.
Again, I'll never understand why it's called the Meniere Chocolate Factory, but it's actually a West End, house.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so this off-Broadway revival ran at the New York Theatre Workshop for 4 months before transferring to the Hudson Theatre on Broadway in 2023, making it the first Broadway revival of Merrily We Roll Along.
Wow.
And this production starred Jonathan Groff as Frank, Daniel Radcliffe as Charlie, Lindsay Mendez as Mary, Crystal Joy Brown as Gussie, and Katie Rose Clark as Beth. This was like the wildly acclaimed, successful, beloved production that Sondheim deserved.
This feels like one that I do kick myself over that I didn't see.
I saw it, and you should kick yourself.
He
I
said, "Eat rocks."
eat rocks.
Okay.
I saw it downtown at New York Theater Festival because I won the lottery.
Whoa.
I never ever win. Actually, that's a lie. Sometimes I win Broadway lotteries, but this one was like I would join every single day.
Yeah.
And I got to see it, and then I was like, yeah, I will pay whatever I have to pay to see the transfer.
Yeah.
And it was like they did that like funny thing where they're like, it's not gonna transfer, it's just living off Broadway. Like that's a lie. Like the cast had their Broadway contracts before the run. The cast got cast for the Broadway transfer.
Yeah.
You know. And so like the day that tickets went on sale, I like jumped on it, got a ticket, saw the Broadway transfer. I mean, I think what was season? I forget what season that was. That was the season where I was like, if you're gonna see one thing on Broadway ever, go see that.
Yeah.
The way that like right now, for me that is, if you're seeing an original show this season, go see Operation Mincemeat. If you're gonna see a revival, go see Gypsy. If you were to see any show that season, it's Merrily.
Heard.
I don't think. Unfortunately, Sondheim never saw this production.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knew. I think he might have known about it. I don't know. I think this production, I think this was like it was one of those shows that was announced a while ago and then like got the COVID pushback for a long time. So I don't remember when it was like initially, because I remember it was like initially announced as Daniel Radcliffe will star in Merrily We Roll Along at New York Theater Workshop. Details to come. Like,
Heard.
Do you remember that?
No.
That was like the headline, and then I think COVID happened, and just like, and then eventually they were like, "Hey, remember that thing? It's happening." Jonathan Groff and Lindsay Mendez. That trio was just phenom. Lindsay Mendez, Daniel Radcliffe and Jonathan Groff won the Tony Awards, obviously, as we all know. Lindsay Mendez, huge snub. She should have won.
Oof.
The three of them were so good, and they complimented each other so well in every which way. And Lindsay Mendez has got that voice. It was an instance where it felt like the score was written for her.
Yeah.
It exemplified everything that she did. And it was just so wonderful to see, like, her and Jonathan Groff are like musical theater actors. Like they were doing their bread and butter. Like, this is like what they do. And Daniel Radcliffe is like, he's such a good stage actor.
Yeah.
Like I think he's a better stage actor than he is a film actor.
Yeah.
Like I saw him I saw him in Has Succeed. And I think these are the two state theater things I've seen him do. And I think he's wonderful, and I think that he is like I'm so happy that he got his like Broadway acclaim for this.
For sure.
He's got such a lovely little career, you know?
Yeah, he really does.
Like, I feel like he obviously like is Harry Potter,
of
and
course.
like
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you built the name and made your fortune like so early on in your life, and instead of like selling out or retiring, you're kind of like, I'm just gonna do like projects that really, really creatively interest me.
Yeah,
like, that's what it feels like he does now,
for sure.
And so I think we just get like really, really cool stuff from him now.
Yeah,
and he just seems like a chill guy.
Truly,
I want to like grab a drink with him.
Yeah, the three of them seemed like the best of friends.
And I think they were. And if they weren't, I bought it.
Yeah,
I fully
100%.
bought into it.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I saw, because like they're, you know who was working overtime? That Merrily PR agent.
Oh my God.
They were on every talk show. The three of them, the three best friends that anybody ever had. I remember at the Tony Awards, they did Old Friends, which was phenomenal. And then I think like the whole cast came out to sing like a chorus or something. And I remember seeing a tweet that was like, "Oh my God, they finally let the rest of the cast of Merrily out of their cages."
Oh my God.
I was like, fair.
Yeah.
But it was also like such a good cast. The whole cast was fucking brilliant. Also like just like cute Katie Rose Clark and Lindsay Mendez were Elphaba and Glinda together for a long time, and they're besties. And now, like, they got to do Mary and Beth together. It was just such a good... And Jonathan Groff is so good.
Yeah.
He is just... Yeah.
He really is.
And him winning that Tony Award was really special.
Yeah.
Because he's just, like, been such a staple for so long.
For sure.
And he'd never won. And he has, like, such a... It was the instance where it was, like, he deserved the award for that performance, but it was also a career award.
100%.
It was, like, you have, like, such a huge career behind you.
Yeah.
And you're doing, like, the thing that should be awarded.
Yeah.
And, like, you could tell, like, if you just, like, watch the clip of him winning, like, everyone in that room just loves him. Everyone's like, yes, Jonathan Groff, you fucking deserve this.
Yeah.
And they recorded this production. They filmed it. I don't know if it's... I don't know. I don't know where it is. They got to release it at some point,
Release
right?
the film. Release the footage.
I know.
What
So
the heck?
there is a professional recording of it. And we're all just staying tuned.
Yeah.
Also, incredibly iconic that Lindsay Mendez was pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, I think by the time they closed, she was like 7 months pregnant.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
Didn't she also get married during it as well?
I think so.
Yeah. Because I think I remember seeing pictures of both of them at the wedding with her. And
yeah, I think Jonathan Groff officiated and Daniel Radcliffe was the flower boy.
Yeah.
Was the ring bearer. Like, Lindsay Mendez had a crazy year.
Literally.
Oh, God. I hope they have, like, a crazy fire group chat. The three of them, and they're just...
For sure.
I loved that production. And that soundtrack is also very good. Specifically, Lindsay Mendez.
Of course.
Incredible. I also do want to point us in the direction of a very specific bootleg of Raul Esparza playing Charlie in, I don't know what, I think it was like some concert production at the Kennedy Centers. And
rest in peace.
Oh, this is like devastating what happened to that institution.
Just a couple of years.
We'll see.
We'll get it back. So,
like, the big Charlie patter song, Franklin Shepherding.
Yeah.
Find that bootleg of Raul Esparza singing that song. That is one of the... It's just like, you know, like, there are some that where you're like, yeah, this is the work. This is how you do a song interpretation.
Yeah.
And that is Raul Esparza. And if this show was produced like 15 years ago, he would have been the Broadway Charlie that we all deserve.
Heard.
I think for this show to work, it's hard because it's a show that spans 20 years. And the whole concept is like, you're seeing these people from like age 20 to 40. And people always debate on like, should you cast young people who then just put on age makeup, or like old people who then just have to pretend to be young? I think you need to cast older.
Yeah.
I think that there is just, I mean, good actors are good actors, but there is like an old maturity that you just can't act your way into.
Heard.
That is necessary to the heart of the piece. And I think it's more heartbreaking that we're all suspending our disbelief at the end of the show and watching those older actors play like the wide-eyed, you know.
Yeah.
The song Our Time. It's so funny because when you hear the song out of context, it's very sweet and saccharine and very like, oh, it's like kind of inspiring. But when you see it in the context of the show, it's so fucking heartbreaking. It's like a cry song. Because it's like, you watch for 2 hours the way that these characters destroy their lives. And then you have to watch them stand on stage and sing about how they're so excited for the rest of the... Oh,
yeah.
God. It is a rough... it's rough.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. So, Lonnie Price, who has spent the majority of his career as a prolific theater director, but was the original Charlie Kringus, directed a documentary called The Best Worst Thing That Ever Could Have Happened, and it chronicles the experience of being in the original production of that show. I couldn't recommend that. That is such a good documentary.
Nice.
You will cry.
Okay.
You will cry.
Okay.
It is so good, though. Anyone who has the least bit interest in musical theater history, it's just like, the whole original cast is interviewed. Stephen Sondheim is interviewed. Hal Print. Like, it is just fascinating to hear about how Broadway shows were put on their feet in 1980,
Mm-hmm.
and B, just chronicling one of the biggest flops of Sondheim's career and watching him talk about it and like where we went wrong, what we did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. There was when it first came out, I think it came out in like 2019, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a screening at Lincoln Center, and me and all my friends went because, we're the hot place to be.
Of course.
The Merrily We Roll Along documentary at Lincoln Center. And it was like there was a talk back with Sondheim, and Lonnie Price was there. And then they were like, and the whole original cast of Merrily We Roll Along is here. Can everyone stand up? And they were all the row in front of us.
Oh, my
They
God.
like, stood up, and everyone went crazy. Yeah, so I highly recommend watching that documentary. And we have a film adaptation being created. Do you not know about this?
No.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
You haven't heard about the film adaptation of Merrily We Roll Along?
No, don't act like that's just normal people knowledge.
That is normal people knowledge. This is like not musical theater knowledge. This is like film knowledge.
Okay.
So Richard Linklater, do you know who that is?
I'm familiar.
Director. He directed Boyhood. The whole shtick of Boyhood is that he like filmed this boy growing up from age like 5 to 18 or whatever. He is filming a film adaptation of Merrily We Roll Along, and he's filming it over the course of 20 years. So we are going to age with the actors. And so the movie's going to come out in like 2050.
That's a wild commitment.
And it's starring Paul Mescal as Frank, Ben Platt as Charlie, and Beanie Feldstein as Mary.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
And I think they started filming like 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane, actually.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to wait so long for it,
but when we get there,
yeah.
boy, is it going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they announced it a couple of years ago, and I remember, I think Sondheim was like, I won't be here to see it, but I love it.
That's such a crazy thing to sign up for.
Isn't that a crazy undertaking?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want Paul Mescal to do a musical before then.
Yeah, I'm
like, do we have to wait for 2050 for this man's to be in a musical?
I don't think so.
I feel like he's kind of built for it.
I mean,
he is like the perfect Frank.
Yeah.
Like if they had extended that Broadway run, like it should have been him. I heard that when they were casting it, Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh were considered.
Oh, whoa. Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the cast we got was the perfect cast, but I do quake at the thought of like an Andrew Garfield Franklin.
Yeah.
Or like a Florence Pugh on a Broadway musical.
Yeah.
I would pay any price.
Truly.
Any price. Maybe not any price. I mean, I tried really hard to get tickets because Paul is in something at BAM right now.
Oh, okay.
He's doing a play at BAM. Streetcar? Is he doing Streetcar?
I don't know.
I think he's doing Streetcar at BAM right now. Those tickets were impossible. I tried.
I'm sure.
I was in the online queue. It was my era's. It was my era's concert.
Interesting.
So I think hopefully they I think they'll probably do a Broadway transfer, and then I'll do it because I love me some Paul.
Yeah.
You know I love me some Paul.
I know that about you. You're always saying that.
I literally am.
Yeah.
That's the most unoriginal take in the world. Everybody loves Paul. But I think Paul should do musicals.
Yeah.
And he just did that musical episode of SNL. And
yeah.
He was like singing and dancing his little behind off. And I was like, we should get to hear you sing before 2050.
You should tell him.
If only it were that easy.
Yeah.
It's a crazy undertaking.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm like, you are committing to these actors for 20 years.
Yeah.
Which, like, what happens if someone
dies?
This
is Hollywood.
Gets canceled.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
Like, imagine if someone, like, they're like 18 years in, they have like a couple more of the years to film, and like someone gets like horrifically canceled or
arrested
or something, and you're like, wait, he's in a movie, can we let him out once a month?
Oh my God.
I don't know. It's a fascinating project.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wish away my life, but I'm excited to see it in 20 years.
For sure. Wow, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, Richard Linklater's a crazy kind of guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding.
Imagine being cast in that with your childhood best friend, Beanie Phil Cinema.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
Isn't that just like the weirdest?
Yeah.
Some people do get to live their dreams.
That's so true. So true. I'm so happy for them. Good for them.
Yeah, it helps famous parents.
Woof. Amazing. Are we putting songs from this in our book? Probably. Couple of Sondheim standards.
There are Sondheim standards. Yeah.
Great.
Look through.
Do
Look
it.
through, make your choices. Beautiful score. Listen to it. Learn it. There's a million bootlegs. I don't know if I think there are some bootlegs of the recent Broadway revival, which I highly recommend checking out.
Yeah. But also release the film version.
There's also, oh my God, there's this heartbreaking. It's like so not even having to do with anything. It's like a filler line. But I saw it off Broadway, and there's a line where it's like news anchor. They're like, just to like give us like a sense of where we are in time. And they were like, and the Supreme Court just ruled on Roe v. Wade. And so now there will never again be a question of like a woman's right to choose.
Yeah.
And I saw it like right after Roe v. Wade got overturned. And it was I'm so glad they didn't change that line, because I was like, I wonder if they're going to change it. It was such a guttural. Everyone in the audience was like, oh.
For sure.
Like gut punch. So.
Crazy times.
A little depressing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Whatever.
Oh, well, that's theater for you.
Folks.
Boom. Okay.
Boom roasted.
There we go.
I think that's Merrily.
I think that is Merrily.
We got a good scope of Merrily now, right?
And now we roll along.
Yesterday is gone.
And today is today.
See the pretty countryside.
Tomorrow's tomorrow.
Merrily we roll along.
Folks, if there's any specific shows that you would like to hear us talk about, you can let us know by finding us over on Patreon. That is patreon.com/BA to Broadway. Our principal tier Patreon subscribers get to choose the shows that we talk about. So come on over there and let us know. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA2Broadway. You can find me at Brennan Stefanik.
You can find me at DSauls.
And until next week, folks, bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.